Alright, so here we are in week 12, and I was debating if I wanted to address the elephant in the room, which is the election. But I feel like I really need to talk about it in the fairest way possible. To address, I don't know, I mean, it's kind of horrifying to me just a little bit that this week we're going to really be going into the institution of slavery and Americans really going into a conflict where we were killing each other before the Civil War even actually happened. Howard Zinn didn't make up the fact that conflict has been a kind of historical norm with us. Being the United States is something that we mainly do well, but we obviously we don't always see things the same way, as our fellow Americans, and we don't experience things in the same way. And I think that that's maybe important for us to kind of reflect upon, is that sometimes we can be with somebody that has the same view of morality and ethics as we do, the same kind of values at the core, but then we think that getting those things can happen in a different way than your fellow American does, right? I mean, so having said that, I really blame the media for putting us in the state that we're in. And when I say that, what I mean is that in all media, and let me just say the AM radio, I used to listen to it all the time. They always talk about the mainstream media. No, you guys are also the mainstream media. And here's the bottom line. Many people are only listening to one perspective only. You're the CNN person only. You're the Fox News person only. Or you're doing the AM radio angry guys that, fair enough, right? And some of you are listening to only far leftist sources. And, you get yourself worked up, and you're not really tapped in to your fellow Americans' perception. Now, I will listen to as many news sources as that I can, because the media is not doing its job of giving us this wide range of understanding about what's going on in the world. You shouldn't have to listen to 5 different media sources to kind of try to tap in and understand what's going on. It just happens to be that it's my job to always try to understand the world. So that's what I spend my time doing while everybody else is, enjoying their barbecues. That's what you're supposed to be doing, hanging out with the fam. An hour of news a day. You shouldn't have to be trying to be an investigative reporter yourself, right? So that annoys me. But ultimately, I think that we should just really reflect upon the idea that we're getting a lot of skewed information. And that is sometimes making us all lash out at each other unfairly. Okay? So I just kind of want to address that part. Now, I just want to say something as well. Remember that everybody has a right to vote for who you wanted to. And people vote for a wide range of reasons. And, I think that probably the best discussions to have with each other is, why did you vote a certain way, or why did you not vote at all? And why am I even addressing this? Honestly, I've never seen Americans this upset with each other, this upset, period. And this isn't normal. I've lived through Democrats and Republicans. People always get upset when their side loses, and they always get happy when their other side wins. But there's something going on here that's a little more ominous, to just put it that way, okay? In terms of how we are with each other. Now, part of it, I think, is that, we have this weird system. I mean, but the media was shoving... The media was basically really trying to control. I don't know what the media is trying to do. They weren't. Some people who were running for office were barely getting any coverage. Then you give coverage to a guy that Donald Trump got a lot of coverage. He did. He got a lot of coverage at first. And it was negative, but there's that saying, it's better to be talked badly about than not to be talked about at all. I mean, he was on our minds, everybody's mind. And then they went after him. They decided once he became a real possible choice, the media all unified in a very non-neutral way, and they came at him. And then we're telling everybody else, oh, there's no way he's going to win. And they were so off on so many levels. So many levels. And so we got to realize that. Now, there are people having demonstrations and riots against Trump, and this is also being misunderstood. I've seen some of the commentary, so let me just clarify something. I do live in Portland, Oregon right now. I was downtown when there was demonstrations, and then I saw what gets termed as a riot take place. And there's several things that need to be understood. Probably my thought as I saw everybody in the crowd that was there, a good chunk of them were not pro-Hillary. They were more alternative views of politics, okay, and various shades and hues. There were some Hillary supporters, but that was very little, just saying. And the people who organized it, they, if you Google and you see, they were officially peaceful. They were not at odds with the police or the city. And people have a right to think that they're stupid and sore losers, or, well, again, it's not even what really the debate was about. The demonstrations were about. But it's their constitutional right. It was people's constitutional right to vote for somebody to win, and it's someone's constitutional right to vote and protest about for whatever they want to say in politics, and then everybody can go about their way. So that's what was happening. Basically, the demonstration was that they feel that the values, the language that is used by our current president is too divisive to be acceptable. That's kind of paraphrasing, I think, of a lot of different kind of voices there. And then you had people with masks that were doing their own thing, and they did it at the end. This thing, I believe, went on for several hours. The demonstration, the march, was just people moving, almost like a parade. And every once in a while, you'll see demonstrations where people do destruction. I mean, look at the Boston Tea Party. We do have this tradition in America. This is the odd thing, right? We're always appalled by people destroying property, but then we celebrate that in our own nationalist holidays. So it's kind of weird. But anyway, that's another topic. But a lot of this destruction went to mom and pop businesses, like a Japanese restaurant with people eating inside. And Portlanders are really kind of confused about what these rioters in masks are about. Somebody got shot. This is not what the majority of Portlanders, I tell you, are horrified that Trump's elected. So that's no secret. That's just a fact. And they're very confused about the random acts of destruction taking place downtown in particular, and violence. So I just want to kind of clarify that. And I do have students that are reporting, and I'm seeing it because I have many former students living in different parts that are finding that pro-Trump supporters are harassing and attacking and doing things that are not appropriate. The bottom line is, Americans are unhinged right now, and the government needs to acknowledge that. Our president does need to, I will say this, he needs to understand. His speech was very unifying that he gave, but that's not what he ran his campaign on. And right now, we are very tense. Americans are tense over about a lot of things. Immigration has to be somehow addressed. The illegal immigration, undocumented worker situation needs to be acknowledged. And the threat of terrorism is real. We've had terrorists before, but the Muslim community and our Latino friends are here to stay, and we have several million undocumented workers. I'm just saying this. I'm not actually saying this as a threat by any means, and this is not even me saying something from my own opinion. This is just, I think, a fact. The country will not let people get rounded up and deported, and they will not accept targeting Muslims and blaming them for all terrorist attacks. And so I think there's a lot of fear and people uncertainty of how this is all going to move forward. And so, advanced conflict is real. The chances of this happening is real. And so I want to encourage you for each other, Trump supporters and Hillary supporters, if you can still get along and talk, dialogue with each other about what your concerns are, what you think, and why you think certain ways. I mean, I have a lot more strong opinions about all this, and I have a lot more stronger analysis that I do outside of the classroom on why I think that there is this. But I'm just saying, dialogue is important right now, and Thanksgiving and Christmas is coming up, so it's nice to have all the family there, getting along, right, as much as possible. So that's all I'm going to say for now. If you have any questions about the subject matter we're covering this week, let me know. As you'll see, I don't do most of the lectures for this week, or somebody else's. The last documentary is a little bit heavy. It's maybe a little bit hard to watch, especially in this current environment, but we're learning about ourselves in here, aren't we? We're learning about our past and who we've been and who we are, and we're seeing where we're going to go now. So, having said that, have a great week and contact me if you have any questions or further thoughts.